Well, good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be back. In the before times, it was the honor of mine to come here every year when we were doing these things. And of course, we've all been on a little bit of a hiatus from meetings like that, but not from work. And so I want to say thank you to you and to your members for all the work that you've been doing throughout the pandemic to build and maintain the infrastructure that the Canadian economy needs, and to do that in extraordinary circumstances. And I know for you particularly, as folks who serve your members who are on the ground, that's, I'm sure, meant a lot of extra phone calls and troubleshooting on job sites and trying to figure out how to source PPE of various kinds and figure out new rules on the job site and trying to figure out how to get members to cooperate in some cases with those rules, as I'm sure many appreciated them. And so just want to take a moment to shout out to all of you for all the extra work that you've been doing during the pandemic to make things go. And you should give yourselves a round of applause for that. Your services are going to continue to be needed as we try to rebuild from this pandemic, but also, and we've seen this too, and building trades members are right on the front line of addressing the real challenges to the economy and to supply chains that climate change represents. And it's why we're going to require your members to be there to build projects not only that create work for themselves and are good for the economy, but more and more that are good for the environment and that help us reduce emissions. And with strong voices on Parliament Hill for moving forward on that agenda, we can have nation-building projects like a Western Regional Power Grid that have all sorts of components for our members to work on, from generation to transmission to distribution, that are going to be part of building the economy of the future, but also part of building a skill set that's going to be important here at home, to be sure, but also around the world. And make no mistake, we are entering a period of serious competition for skills and capacity, firms and workers that are able to build for a new and greener economy. And that's something that Canada can be a leader in. And we need many voices on the Hill, not just us politicians, but all sorts of advocates like yourselves to be calling for those jobs. And if we do that and we do it well, there's enough demand for these projects that we can create a work forecast with enough work for our members, I'm speaking now as a building trades guy, for generations to come. And that set not just ourselves up for success now, but also our children who are looking at the trades as a promising future in their generation as well. And that's some of the important work that I believe you can do, because we've seen success working with New Democrats like Chris Charlton, Scott Duvall, and Matt Green in this budget. We finally see the building trades labor mobility tax credit, which is something that I know you all have done a lot of work on. I was glad to see it in the budget. I was glad to make some recommendations to the government in the context of this new agreement about how exactly it should look, and I'm looking forward to your feedback as they get ready to table the Budget Implementation Act this week on whether the details are right or whether we need to do a little bit more work as that legislation passes through the House. So congratulations to the building trades, to Sean, to the affiliates, and to all the people who have done the work over the years to get this over the finish line. Let's have another round of applause for that good work. And we heard Ambassador Hillman talk a little bit about some of the issues that are coming up in Washington. I had the pleasure of going to Washington with the trade minister in the fall to talk about the EV tax credit and what that can mean for the Canadian economy. I participated in the Labour Roundtable and saw again the value added that building trades bring, because the relationship with the United States, as you know, is our most important economic relationship. And binational unions, as Ambassador Hillman was saying, have an important role to play. I got to see it firsthand in terms of people who are already positioned in Washington that have the ear of the administration there that can help us raise issues to make sure that we don't end up collateral damage in their trade policy that these days is specifically targeted at Mexico when they're talking about the auto industry. The fact of the matter is that Canadian workers and our Canadian way of doing things represents very well what they're trying to do in the United States, which is ensuring that workers get paid fairly for the work they do, not just in terms of their hourly wage, but in terms of their benefits and the possibility of retirement. and that it's easier for them to unionize when they want to unionize and they decide that they want that protection and they want all the good things that come with a union job. And so that's something that you contribute to by being part of binational unions and fostering that good relationship and dialogue between Canada and the United States that's so important. Now, I've got a lot more I could say. It's an occupational hazard of politics that we do tend to go on. But I'm excited to have my leader and the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, here with me today. So I'm not going to say any more myself. I'm going to leave the rest for Jagmeet to say. But before I hand over the mic, I do just want to say another huge thank you to you and to your members for all of the good work that you do. I'm so glad to see you all back here assembled in Ottawa, doing the lobbying that counts and that gets results for people. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for the work you do.